to the first episode of the Horse with No Name podcast for the 2018-19 academic year. We've decided to just go big for the entire first show. We're going to do it live. We're going to have 5 guests. I don't know that we had 5 guests all of last year, but we're going to have 5 guests here today, and we're going to have each of the fall coaches come in and spend anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes with us and talk about their programs, how they fared throughout the preseason, and what they hope to expect in the 2018 fall year. About 2 weeks ago, we had over 100 student athletes report back to campus here so they could start preseason. These scrimmages are done, and as the men's soccer, men's and women's cross country, and women's volleyball teams are set to open the 2018-19 academic year tomorrow afternoon and evening. So we're going to kick things off here with our head men's and women's cross country coach, Ryan Gehman. Ryan is in his second season here with the Chargers. Last year, a terrific year for the entire program as Tanner Krob took home the Chargers' first ever NEAC championship, and Sammy Stoner took home second place as the men got fourth in the NEAC, if I recall correctly. This season, back for some more. The men's team looking very strong. Women's team, some returners and a little uncertainty to begin the year. But Ryan, talk about the women's team here quickly and just what you hope for them. Maybe not so much in the beginning of the season, but hoping to get a few more runners here and maybe put something together for the end of the season.
Yeah, so with the women's team, our goal is basically get more runners. We have 2 returners. They're both very dedicated, very hardworking, really, really nice ladies. But obviously we need 5 runners to score in a cross-country race. So the goal is to bring people on for meet days, hopefully get some more committed to the team, and then, by the time we get to postseason, we'll have a scoring team for those races.
Excellent. And so the team, obviously there's some excitement all around campus for the men's team. Obviously Tanner is back coming off his NEAC victory. He also won 2 other races last year as well, and now joined by his brother Thatcher and another newcomer, Ebenezer. Talk about the men's team. Talk about your excitement. I can see it in your face when we start talking about the men's team that you think some good things are coming up for the Chargers this season.
Yes, definitely. We have some very good things in store for the men's team. We got a strong 1-2-3 punch. Obviously, as Zach had mentioned, Tanner Krob is back, and he was the NEAC champion last year, and he will be running strong again this year as well. But here's where it gets really exciting. His brother is very, very good runner. He's actually ahead of TJ right now, and my other freshman, got 2 fast freshman recruits coming in this year. Ebenezer is even faster than Thatcher, Tanner's brother. So basically, if you know that Tanner won without much competition the NEAC title last year, and now we have 2 runners that are ahead of him this year, that means our top 3 are the top 3 best runners in the conference as of right now. The preseason polls just came out for the NEAC, and we were placed 3rd. I personally am very excited to shatter those expectations and blow them away come postseason time.
It's awesome. Scooping my info there with giving out the preseason polls. I like that. I don't have to do that then. So men were selected 3rd in the NEAC preseason poll. The women selected 6th. So appreciate the NEAC. We're going to get to a few things regarding the preseason polls, but I definitely appreciate Assistant Commissioner Stephanie Dutton getting those out and helping the sports information directors in the conference promote our sports prior to the start of the season. Another great thing for us here at Lancaster Volleyball this year, Ryan, is that we're not only hosting one race, the Charger Invitational on September 15th, but we're hosting the NEAC Championships for the second time in 3 years. That'll be on October 27th. Obviously, we run here on a daily basis, but it's a little different when other people are running the course with us. What are you hoping to learn at the Charger Invitational, maybe that you can't learn from practice when there's actually a race going on here on our course?
I just want to see how, obviously, the Charger Invitational is going to be the preview meet for the NEAC Championships. And I just like to see how our men's team stacks up against the competition, because all of the NEAC schools will be coming to preview the course and race on it on September 15th. So it'll just be a good, ballpark, where do we stack up with the other teams, both as a team and as individuals. And learning from that, we'll be able to adjust racing strategies going into postseason. As I already mentioned, we have a really strong top three, but we also, Isaac Facey put in a lot of work this summer. He's a strong number 4 guy. And we have Richard Haynes and Stephen Marshall to fill out 5th and 6th. And if you would recognize those names from last season, they did very well. And that'll fill out a very strong top 6 for us.
And then hosting the NEAC Championships, obviously you weren't here 2 years ago when we did that, but obviously, or you were here? Were you in attendance?
No, I was not.
You were not here. I was going to say, maybe you ran. No, I'm just kidding. So hosting that 2 years ago, I thought it was an advantage. Obviously, I don't know the ins and outs of running like you do, and if you looked at the two of us, you'd understand that better. That's why we're not doing video this year. We're just doing audio. No, I'm just kidding. What are the advantages, obviously, of hosting that important of a race? Obviously, we're not going to, dig secret divots in the course and things like that and know where to run around, but just running the course on a daily basis for 2 months, basically, and then having that big of a race here on our campus.
I don't know if we'll necessarily dig traps, but there are a lot of groundhog holes out there, and we know exactly where they're at. So that comes into an advantage for us. But yeah, just this course is where we train. It's where we do all of our intervals. We know it inside and out. We know the hills, the divots, where there are good places to kick, where there are good places to sit, and that other people do the work. And that just all plays into race tactics and comes into our advantage for postseason, because we know where we can run more efficiently and use less energy, and where we should let them use more energy than us, and so on and so forth. So we're very excited to host, and even more excited that we have the potential to take the title on our home course this fall.
Great, and you guys open up tomorrow night at Shippensburg, correct? It's a night race, that's correct?
Yeah, yep, it's under the lights. The races are at 8 and 8:30, so it'll be a fun way to open up our season.
That's awesome. As we get lights here, we should try to make a cool small course somewhere that we can do night races. I like that idea. Ryan, thank you very much. I appreciate it, and obviously looking forward to seeing you guys on campus twice for 2 races, and then obviously throughout the whole season. Good luck.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Great. So that was Ryan. We're going to he can see himself out here as the door opens up, and then we'll be joined by head coach Becky Elliott here in just a few moments regarding our field hockey program. I should also mention that the field hockey program opens up their season tomorrow night as well, or tomorrow afternoon, I should say. They'll be at Roanoke, and then they'll take on Sweetbriar on Saturday. Hey, come on in. This is like Mr. Rogers when the mailman used to show up at the door and things like that. We're just having people walk in and out. So we are now joined by the head field hockey coach here at Lancaster Bible, and as someone who is a major field hockey supporter, it is awesome to say that I am joined by the head field hockey coach here at Lancaster Bible College. I've been waiting quite a long time to say that. I'm not just saying that because my wife was a Division III field hockey player. I truly like the sport, and very excited to have it here. So after a 33-year absence, we are bringing field hockey back. I should say and point out, and I'll just do this to make you feel a little older than me. The last time we had a field hockey game here, I was 2 months old. So no, I'm just kidding.
And what year was that?
That was 1985.
I will not tell you how old I was.
Oh, that's very good. Okay, perfect. So we're not going to get an age out of Coach Elliott. That's okay. How has the preseason gone? Obviously, we've had some, obviously, they're all new players, though some are multi-sport athletes and have played Division III sports here at Lancaster Bible College. Obviously, but there's, new players to the sport. There's also just new everything because we've never had it before. So how have you guys managed to progress over the last 2 weeks?
I think one of the things that has really helped us progress is their attitudes have been amazing. They're encouraging each other. They're being positive. Everything that we are throwing at them, they are trying, and they're trying it with amazing effort. Those that haven't played for a couple years because they didn't have the opportunity to play are picking it up. We're seeing little things where it's like the light bulb is going on and they're remembering, oh, I do remember how to make that move. Or they do something natural that it's just like, yep, it's coming back. It's like riding a bike. And those that haven't played for a lot longer or didn't have as much experience, the ones that have the experience are bringing them along for the ride. And they're really helpful with each other, helping them learn and grow. It's been great.
That's awesome to hear. So we obviously understand a little bit because you're the first coach, and I've been here now 10 years and have pushed for field hockey, and it's great to have it. Do the ladies understand how kind of cool it is to be the first to bring a program back and the first to kind of do anything modern day field hockey? Again, no offense to the alumni in the 70s and 80s, but the game is quite different. You could probably argue that it's a completely different sport from that time to this time. But have they embraced that? Have they kind of grappled with that a little bit, that they're the first to do this?
Yes, I think they really have embraced it. We had the opportunity last week during preseason to take a photo with 2 former alumni that played, and they really embraced them. I think they're going to embrace more alumni as they show up and come around. I think they understand that this is a big step towards a great future, and that they are starting a foundation that's going to be their, hopefully, a lasting foundation. And they also understand that there are growing pains, like as we try to build a team, that there are ups and downs, and they're advocating for us just as much as anybody else is advocating, and it's great. I think they really are enjoying the process.
And so not only a change for some of our athletes who get to play field hockey, but a change for you. You're used to being confined to 4 walls in a classroom and teaching high school math, and now you're teaching field hockey outside in triple-digit heats on a field that's not yet ours. And how have you adjusted to, certainly a new professional life, but certainly a new sort of sides of emotional things as well, dealing with college-age kids, young ladies, women who haven't played a sport necessarily before, or it's been a little while, and now you're kind of in charge of them, and you're less concerned about their calculus and more concerned about their ability to execute a corner. So how's that been going for you personally?
I think the transition has actually gone smoother than I thought. Sorry for my Cocalico former students, but I didn't miss it as much as I thought I would with the transition, and it might be because I'm so busy with field hockey that I just didn't even realize that, oh yeah, school started. But it's still the same. There's a lot of similarities. Yes, I'm not in a classroom, but I'm still teaching. And I'm still helping out students with, what they want to do with their future. When I was at Cocalico, a lot of the kids would talk to me and stuff about college and what they should look at, what should they look for. So it's the same area. It's just like I just changed scenery. And I got to actually play hockey more, which is very encouraging, and will be even better when I can do it at home.
If it helps you, I don't miss high school math at all either, so we're good. So you and I have had discussions about breaking the season up into, thirds, half, fourths, I don't know. How are you viewing the season? I don't want to ask what's going to be a successful season. I don't want to ask that question. How are you looking at the season, and are there going to be parts of the season where you're looking at your team or the other coaches and saying, I think we're turning a corner, or we still need to work on that? Or how are you going into the season looking at it like that? Other coaches who have defined programs and defined 25, 28 recruits, whatever, we can start defining their season in wins, losses, championships, not whatever. Not that we do that a whole lot anyway, but how are you going to look at your season in terms of how the girls are playing?
I'm going to look at their individual skills. How have they improved from day one to the last day? I mean, we even been saying that since our very first practice was on the grass with very few girls beside Horst. And I told them at the end of the last preseason game, or the last preseason practice last Friday, I'm like, look how far we've come in just that week and a half. So we're going to definitely look at our individual skills. Fundamentals is huge for me. So where are our fundamentals by the end? We may not have the game tactics down that I would like to have eventually. but do you have the fundamentals down? And that's going to be a big success for us. I do think there are games that are beatable for us, and I'm hoping, that we can attack those games and be successful. But I'm also big on what can we learn from the opponent. When we are done with the game, what did they teach us? What can we take away from the opponent so that it can build our game? And also, what can we give the opponent? What did you guys do that was positive for the opponent? And I think other teams are going to see us not give up, that we're going to have a positive attitude. They're going to be communicating, and they're going to work together as a team. And they're going to see it on and off the field. And I think that's going to be a very good accomplishment for this team, is to leave those teams with a impression of us that, wow, they really get along, they work together, they're really supporting each other. And I think that's going to be a good, huge accomplishment for us for this season.
Awesome. Well, I want to say thank you for coming on to the podcast, your first one. This is great. Opening the season tomorrow at Roanoke. And then Sweetbriar on Saturday, and then one more road trip, and then we'll host Wells somewhere in Lancaster County on September 15th, maybe here on the Donald H. Funk Field. That's progressing very well. It's right on the edge of being able to host that. But if not, the following Saturday, the 22nd, we'll host Southern Virginia at 11 o'clock, and all signs point to that for sure being here, but possibly the Wells game on the 15th too. So thank you very much, and good luck this year.
Thank you. Do I need to switch cardigans in my shoes now since you have the Mr. Rogers?
Yes, please. If you could just, Micah's there at the door. He looks to be your size. That should work out. Perfect. So again, head coach Becky Elliott there of the Lancaster Bible College field hockey program joining us, and super excited for her and her program to get kicked off here as we open a new chapter of field hockey here at Lancaster Bible College. We are now joined by another new coach, although he was here last year as an assistant, women's volleyball head coach Micah Herron, taking over for Jackie Smith. So, Micah, how has your first summer as a head coach gone?
Zach, the learning curve is steep. I can say that much. So, with not being able to be a huge part of last year and limited with my role, it's been a learning curve. But I've enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to the opportunity and the challenge that is.
One of the things we've talked a lot about with our previous volleyball coaches is coming into preseason, what do we have to do before we can get to the stuff we actually want to do? So how did the team come into preseason, and how did preseason go?
I think this year they came in a lot more prepared. I feel like they took it upon themselves, took the initiative to put time into in the off season and into workouts and playing, and so that obviously sets us up where we don't have to get ourselves into shape before we actually get into what we're doing. So that was huge for us. It also helps obviously prevent injuries and keeps us moving in the right direction. So I think in that regard it was great. And then preseason it's just a whirlwind. You're in the gym all day. You're having meetings, player meetings. It's just busy, and so by the time it's done, you feel like, I hope I did everything right, and I hope we're prepared. So, but I think overall it went well, and the girls really responded to what we're trying to do, and so I'm really grateful.
So that being said, and that's terrific news. What do you hope to learn early on here in the season? Start off at the Gettysburg Battlefield Classic, 4 matches in 2 days against very quality opponents, and then sort of getting into the season. A lot of road games here, or road matches, I should say, early in September with a home match mixed in, and then kind of starting NEAC play, and they mixed in pretty well the rest of the year, do those NEAC matches. So I don't know if you've broken the season up in your head, or what you're just hoping to see and realize those first couple weeks of the season.
I think first of all, I think the goal is to kind of solidify what our identity is. I think it's important to kind of know what we're good at and to do that well. And I think we see that through what we've done in practice and what we're trying to accomplish with our systems and things that we're implementing. But I think this weekend it will really probably give us a good look at that, and be able to solidify really, hey, what are our strengths, and then go with that the rest of the season. So I think that's the goal.
You've got a pretty solid senior class here. Hannah Geip, Jenny Mulvey, Erin Harkey and Hannah Thompson, along with Courtney Goyak, who's joined the program this year. They've been through a lot. This is their third coach in 4 years. Obviously, some off-the-court stuff as well that they've had to battle through and overcome, as have a lot of the girls on the team, not just the seniors. But how have they helped your transition? Obviously, you know them from last year being an assistant, and how have they welcomed the newcomers to the program?
Yeah, I think the statement that probably sums it up for me is, on poor teams, nobody leads. Good teams, coaches lead, and on great teams or elite teams, players lead. And I really feel like that's what we have with a group of 4 or 5 girls, especially the 4 that, again, having the third coach in 4 years, that's not easy. And so each coach is different. They have different systems, and I cannot say enough about how they have responded to what we've done on the court as we've changed things. And then as they've just kind of rallied together and really taken ownership of the program, it really allows us as coaches to kind of watch and step back and allow them to, kind of be the servant leaders that we really want them to be. And they do that well, and they embrace it. And so they've embraced the challenge of what little tweaks we have here and there. Again, being around last year, they know, us as individuals, but the system's a little different. So they've really kind of gravitated towards that as far as what we've done. And then the freshmen, man, they respond well because of the leadership that we have, and they're leading by example. And so it makes our jobs easy to kind of, hey, this is what we're going to do. And they don't really ask questions. They're like, we're all in, coach. So I'm looking forward to what the rest of the season holds with that.
We'll get to play some of our bigger conference matches here this season. Berks is here. It's the Friday before homecoming, or the Friday of homecoming. We get to play Gallaudet here. We've never played Gallaudet here, at least in conference play, perhaps before we joined the NEAC. That'll be the following Friday, October 5th. And then Wells is here as well. Not that there aren't other good teams in the NEAC, but those 3 stand out. It feels like we play Wells here every year. I'm not really sure how that works, but it seems like Wells is here every year. And that's the following weekend. They'll be here with Cuca. Actually, no, that's the next day. They'll be here with Gallaudet and Cuca that weekend. Will it help playing those matches here? Obviously, this is a little plug for the Red Sea and, hey, come to the matches and things like that. But just even knowing the gym and knowing the lines and knowing the lights, and how will that help the ladies as they try to advance to the NEAC playoffs for the 8th straight year?
Yeah, I think as a coach, you try and keep things simple, and you want continuity, and you want rhythm and routine, even as you go into, away matches. But being home, the level just goes up, and so you're in your own routine, you're in your own bed, you're at your own cafeteria, you're doing your own thing, that you don't have to think about all these other things that are going to affect the other noise, all the things. And so the crowd level, the noise level, the energy that our crowd brings consistently is fun to be around. It's fun to be a part of. And I think the girls, they can thrive off that as well. And so being home for big matches really makes a huge difference for us, I think. I think our winning percentage is obviously higher at home than probably it is on the road. So being able to be here for those bigger matches, and those that, as the preseason rankings come out, you look at those, and those teams are up at the top. And so being able to play them at home and hopefully take advantage of some of the energy that comes with that is a big deal for us.
It's a good transition, Micah, to the NEAC preseason poll. We finished 5th, or I would say finished. We were selected, picked 5th, which is generally where we've been in the NEAC the past couple of years. And like I said, we've made the playoffs every year. We've been in the NEAC, and so it's different with volleyball as per soccer and basketball and some of our other sports, where the NEAC matches are sort of mixed in because there's so many matches in a season, whereas soccer sort of starts NEAC play and it's just NEAC play the rest of the regular season. How do you sort of, obviously they can read the schedule, I got that, or most of them can read the schedule. How do you kind of be selective with your, I don't even know how you would, preparation where, hey, ladies, NEAC match, like, not that get more focus. It's not like we're taking days off and we're not playing NEAC matches, but it does take a certain level of coaching to say, hey, this is an important one. We need this one, and this is one we've got to win, or this is one, it would be nice to win this one to move up in the standings, or how do you kind of refocus them heading into NEAC matches?
We have team goals, that we set, and it's been a few years since we've been able to make it into the semis, and not have to play that playoff game on that Tuesday after the regular season. So I think for us, knowing where we want to be, and really with our big, hairy, audacious goal to win the NEAC, and they'll take a lot for us this year, but I think we can be competitive in that. As they understand that each match, as far as the NEAC goes, is really crucial to where we're going to end, or be at the end of the season. So I don't know that we have to do a whole lot to try and, psych ourselves up for that, because we've got goals posted in our team room. They can see that, and as they walk out, they know where we want to be, and so they understand what it takes day in and day out to come in and be successful. And then when those matches come, then hey, it's time to execute. And so I don't know that we have to do anything in and of ourselves to, again, kind of create this and ramp everything up, because our upperclassmen, again, do a good job of leading that charge to say, hey, we got to get down to business and take care of that tonight. So
That's great. Well, thank you very much, Micah. I'm super excited for you for the program. I'm excited for myself. You and I have about the same sense of humor, which is probably good and bad, but we have the same sense of humor. So I'm excited to spend time with you this year, and especially basketball. Micah's going to be the basketball game manager, so there'll be plenty of evenings here at Horse Athletic Center where we get to watch basketball and hang out. Certainly after a long volleyball season, though. I got that. All right, that was good. Mix that in. So anyway, thank you very much, and hope you have a great year.
Thanks, Zach. I appreciate it, man.
And that was Micah Herron, women's volleyball head coach here at Lancaster Bible. We joined next by our women's soccer head coach, Allie Brown, as she jumps through the doorway and appears here in the media room on the second floor of Horse Athletic Center. I want to just take a quick moment to thank JJ Poteet for helping us out here producing the podcast, and shaking his head no. He's just going to have to live with that. And as we move on here to head coach Allie Brown, it's your second season here at LBC. Last year, you were hired 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks, 2 weeks before preseason started. It's probably 2 weeks before preseason started. This year's been a little different. I was just talking to Mike about his upperclassmen and senior leadership. Women's soccer also has very strong senior leadership. They've experienced a lot, just like the women's volleyball program has in their previous 3 years. There's 2 coaches and ups and downs of going from a team in the NEAC final to and being really, really close to maybe even winning the NEAC final, to last year a little disappointment there at the end. But how have they led so far and even helped you throughout your first year and now into your second preseason?
Yeah, I think they really embraced me as a coach, which was helpful. As soon as I came in, they wanted to support me and my leadership, and I think that just their initiative and their drive, it really permeates throughout the whole team, and it's definitely contagious, and so I think that that's super helpful. For the rest of the team, it is exciting to see their leadership and their development through the last 2 years.
So from something good to maybe something not so good. Sorry. But let's not sugarcoat it. It was disappointing to lose last year in the NEAC quarterfinals. I guess technically it's not a loss, but our season ended when we tied and then lost in PKs to Bryn Athyn, and couldn't find the back of the net, and that happens, and it's fine. Thanks to a little luck or scheduling quirk or whatever, we are opening our season on Saturday with Bryn Athyn. I don't think you tried that, but it didn't try. Okay, well, for intents and purposes, you tried it. How have the girls used that motivation to get themselves through spring practice, through off-season training in the summer, and now through preseason, knowing that obviously it's not going to help the feeling of how they felt when they were walking off the field last October, but you can exact possibly a little revenge anyway, or at least feel better about yourself after Saturday's game?
So I told them yesterday there are no mistakes, just happy accidents. But on a more serious note, I think that I tell them all the time you can learn and get better and grow from any situation, and it was super disappointing the way we ended last year. But I think that they, as returners, they all collectively worked super hard in the off season. When we came into preseason last year, none of them were really in shape overall, and this season they came prepared and they came ready to work. And so I think all of them have this date marked on their calendars.
It's terrific. I'm super excited for the game, and just to be, again, I'm not on the women's soccer team, but I watched every home game last year and felt what you all felt walking off that field. And JJ's nodding. All the minutes JJ played last year too. But it was frustrating because we just didn't score. Like again, Brent Athens played great. They played great defense, but they made no bones about it. They weren't even trying to score. Yeah. And they wanted to go to PKs, and they did. And I guess that was but again, kudos to them because it almost worked in the semifinals. They only lost 2-0 to Berkson, I think, in the semifinals. Anyway, moving on to better things. Quickly move on. Please move on. This is the largest team we've ever had. 28 players on the team, manager, coach, 3 coaches in addition to yourself. How have you gone about it? Obviously, you recruited many of them too over the past year too. Good job. Yeah, of course. No, terrific job. How have you managed such a large team, whether that be meeting schedule, whether that be preseason, whether that makes sure you're getting a good look at every single person that's playing? How have you been intentional about going about finding out everything you can about the players and making sure that they feel valued?
So I think that the relationships start during the recruiting process. I think that as a coach, I want to bring in really great mission fit players who are going to help the team. And so I think with that attitude, I went in, I wanted to really get to know the girls and build that relationship right away. I was very honest with them, like what I'm looking for. And I think that just that process of being intentional right away has helped them feel part of the team even before they step on campus. And then I do one-on-ones. It's going to be a lot this year, a lot more than last year, but one-on-ones and just trying to, the captains have been great with that too, just being intentional about getting to know each person, because obviously like I'm not going to be able to I'm going to love and care about each and every one of them, but I'm not going to be able to meet with every one of them every day and check in. And so I've really relied heavily on not just the captains, but the other girls. They've really stepped up in helping the freshmen feel included.
And speaking of those freshmen and newcomers, how have they gelled both on and off the field with the returners?
Honestly, extremely well. I was very nervous because we had, I think, 19 returners, and then we had 8 girls coming in. And so with those numbers, it can be a little intimidating as a coach because you don't know how the returners are going to embrace them. But the freshmen came in really humble and ready to work, and I think that allowed the returners to really embrace them right away. The first day that they were back, they just did team bonding all day, and so they were able to build relationships with everyone and not just based on skill. So everyone felt like they were a part of the team right away, and it wasn't just, oh, well, this freshman is better than this girl, or they're going to get more playing time, so I'm going to really pour into them. And even our sophomores, they came back, and I was just so impressed with the way that they really embraced everyone, and they didn't just hang out with their friends. They really were intentional about being partners with freshmen and not just who they were close with on the team.
That's terrific. And with all of those players, you have pretty significant depth at every position. Obviously, only 11 on the field at a time, but what do you envision for how many players you're going to play, or what that looks like with such a big roster?
So with the numbers that we have and just the skill level that is being brought to the team this year, I'm thinking about possibly 18 to 20 girls almost every game, getting them in, just because we have that ability. They can contribute, and I think that injuries is always a big thing. And I remember last year we had 21 girls on the roster, and there were a few games because of fluke injuries that we were struggling for numbers. So I'm excited because there's so much talent on the team this year, and I'm planning on utilizing all of it.
And that's why you're the coach. So you don't need to make a prediction or anything. We don't want to do that, or JJ and I'll do that when you leave. Now, but what are your expectations? We were selected 4th in the NEAC preseason poll, and you can take that for whatever it's worth. But what are your expectations? What would you see whenever the season ends? Hopefully in the middle of November, end of November. But what would you say? Hey, we got better here, and we met expectations.
I am cautiously optimistic. Obviously, we were really disappointed about how the season ended last year, and so the easy answer is I want to end up better than we were last year. But I think that my girls know that I want them getting better every day of practice. And I know every coach says that, but just staying focused and wanting to get better as a team. And I think all the returners and the freshmen have bought into this too, that we want to be competing into November. We don't want to end the season like we did last year.
It's awesome. I'll just say it's just super cool to see how many players are on the team. And I guess I forgot that there were 21 on the team last year, and I believe there were 22 the year before. But you're right. Some of those games, it's like, where's everybody else? Well, they're not here, or they're over there on the crutches, or whatever it was. And again, like you said, a lot of it was just fluke injuries. It's not like they weren't wanting to play. They were just hurt. So it's been awesome to see you guys out of practice and just you start looking, and it's like, wow, there's a lot of. Then you start counting, it's like, wow, there's a lot of people out here. And so it's been awesome to see, and obviously your hard work in the off-season recruiting has been just terrific, and everything we've asked for. And that's why we're not the interim anymore. That's why you're the head coach. Nice office. It's great. Couch in there, taking naps. Don't tell everybody that. Thank you very much, Allie. Appreciate it, and good luck on Saturday against Bernathen.
Thank you.
It's terrific. So Allie Brown there, the women's soccer head coach here at LBC, and in her second season. And Tom Ardt will be headed our way next. He's got 1,000 things to do here prior to beginning the season. Lots of other jobs that he has here at LBC as well. We'll start with the men's soccer team was picked 6th in the NEAC preseason poll. And again, I want to thank NEAC Assistant Commissioner Stephanie Dutton for putting that together and helping everybody out, promote their sports prior to the season. It's easy to talk about soccer during soccer season, or it's easy to talk about cross country, things like that when the big races are happening. But it's nice to be able to talk about those sports and mention them prior to the big action happening. It's one of the reasons we decided to do those preseason polls a couple years ago, is to try and talk about sports prior to when the big events were happening. Cross country specifically is tough because there's only one race where every team in the NEAC is at the race, and it's the NEAC Championships, and it's literally the last race of the season for most teams. So it's nice to be able to talk about cross country and sports like that prior to the big race happening there at the end of the year. As we wait for Tom, we'll just mention that you can find a lot of other season preview information today on our social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That's at LBC Athletics. And there's some infographics there, and we'll be talking about some preseason poll stuff later on in the day as well. And you can always find all the up-to-date information on our social media pages. So our last guest is here, Tom Ardt, the elder statesman of the LBC coaching staff, year number 8.
Yep.
Yes. Going into 8. Excellent. So lots of newcomers on the team this year. How have they bonded with the returners?
I've been really happy with how that's going. The returners have reached out, and last year's group really started that. And doing a quick overnight trip as well, camping, taking the guys camping, and mixing in the classes it was huge last year and again this year. So we try to quickly assimilate those guys in, and it's going well. So it's been good.
You mentioned the guys last year. We lost a lot of 4-year seniors. Typically you lose some guys, but they're not all 4-year seniors, guys who have made a mark on the program. We're talking about Spencer Locker, Dom Buffone, Eddie Bills. I'm sure I'm missing people too. Tiago felt like he was here forever. Van Sutphen for sure. He felt like he was here for more than 4 years. But just talk about guys like that who leave a mark, though. It does feel like they were here. I mean, there's been a Lockard around forever, and Eddie's top 15 in points all time in the program's history, and this is our 47th year. So who has stepped into that leadership role? It's easy to pencil in Spencer the last couple of years, or Dom, or whomever. Who stepped up here this year for us?
Yeah, it's definitely a new group of leaders, and we've been working hard on leadership development the last few years, and those seniors last year really did leave a mark. And so the one returning captain Dan Baversdorf came back. I don't know if he was a captain last year, but we transitioned that pretty quickly last year in the spring. So him, Caleb, and Caleb being a senior, Tony being a senior, those two guys are great leaders, and then Dan stepping up as well as a junior, and then Joel Hughes is the newest captain. So those are our leaders, but not only them. There's other seniors too. Jared Jordan in the mix there too. And some other guys, even Tito coming back and playing. We weren't sure if we were going to get him back, so he's been a really good leader too for us, and just setting the tone with his intensity for the game. But yeah, all those guys I mentioned and more are capable of leading, because it's not about the big inspirational speech from the leader. It's about the everyday touch points with all the guys, or as many as possible. And I've seen them all do that really well. So I'm pleased with these guys.
I think that's one thing I've even noticed in my limited conversations with some of them, is just the freshmen know who they're looking at, and they're not looking for that big inspirational speech. But when I think of Caleb, Dan, Tony, and Joel, the needle doesn't move. It's just steady. And Dan and Joel, especially in the midfield, just exude that. They're yay when it's happy, and okay when it's bad, and it's all the same. I think that's something, especially in men's soccer, where it's an emotional game. We'll just go with that for now. How's that? It's an emotional game, and you need those guys. And I think that you coach like that as well, where it's like, hey, it's 90 minutes. Like, this is minute 4, or, hey, there's 2 minutes to go, but hey, we've practiced this. And I think that's one thing that I've been impressed with talking with not only, you obviously in the preseason and then throughout the summer, but just seeing those guys as well. Talk about that. So there's lots of newcomers, as we mentioned. Who's made a good first impression on you and the coaching staff?
Yeah, all of them, but let me get specific with it. It's hard not to notice right away 2 freshmen coming in and running the best 2-mile times we've ever had that I'm aware of. So I have to highlight those guys, because it's not just that they're fast, and I don't believe they were even track athletes. They were soccer players. They're pure soccer players who have great fitness levels and can sustain a fast run for a long time. So Kedrick Yoder and Rusty Ristine. So 2 freshmen. Rusty's from New Hampshire. Kedrick grew up in Mexico as a missionary kid, and both of those guys blew us away with their running. But not only that, but their composure on the ball, their decision making's good. And so those 2 guys in our attack are going to be really, really helpful, and probably will play more like sophomores or juniors than freshmen, I think, from what we've seen maturity-wise, even off the field. So yeah, there's been a number of guys that have come in and stepped up. Those 2, I think, stand out. But man, Dylan Schertzer, he's a transfer from Messiah, played for their club team, and he's done a nice job stepping in and working and even leading in his way. So Nate Muckle is another one I had to mention. He's one that maybe surprised me a little bit. I knew the level he came from was good. Played for North Allegheny High School out near Pittsburgh, which is traditionally a powerhouse program for a school, and grew up in Spain as well. And so he has really settled in nicely, even on the physical side of things. We knew he was a skilled technical player, but seeing some of his gifts physically with strength in the air, his speed even, which has surprised us a little bit, we've been happy with him too. So a lot of guys, though. I think the class this year is extremely balanced, and we're glad to have them all part of the team. Hopefully they're all 4-year guys.
It's been, again, just a couple times I've watched you guys practice, it's quicker. I mean, and not that the other team was slow, but it appears quicker. And I know that you've been happy with the scrimmages and the work and that the team's put in. Talk about preseason. What have you liked? What have you said? And we probably should park here for a little while and talk about that skill or that idea a little bit more. What have you liked? What have you disliked?
Yeah, we've liked the consistency in the energy levels, and even a couple times when they were flat coming out. And we did a lot of 11v11 play this preseason, more than any other preseason, trying to get the guys to gel and find positions for guys and get them some experience playing. A couple guys have come in not having played in a couple years, just for different reasons. A couple guys transfer and haven't played a ton. So So we're trying to get those guys acclimated. So it's been really good seeing the 11v11 play. Sometimes when it's flat starting out, they have found a way to raise that level. And one time in particular, I remember it was a wet, rainy day. We were tired. It was like the third practice of the day, evening session, and started out flat. And I was like, oh, this isn't good. And just gave it a little bit of time, and it naturally and quickly picked up to the tempo. And I credit the guys for knowing there needed to be a change. But when it gets to specific things, I think we're going to have to revisit. It's a little similar to last year. But I think with the way we want to play aggressively on the defensive end, we're going to have to pick our moments on when to really just calm down and just slow the other team down, slow their attack down, not try to take it to them all the time. But when we can't get to them quickly, then just being able to, with composure, all right, drop in, guys. Let's get behind the ball. Let's delay them, and we'll find a way.
That's terrific. I probably should have asked this to the other coaches, or at least Becky and Allie. But are you going to change the way you play when the field is done? Obviously, we play on turf on road games, but the first 3 or 4 home games are going to be on grass, and then we're going to move and play on turf. Does that change anything for you, the way you play? Obviously, it'll be a different feel because we haven't played on turf in the past. We've never played a night game here. We're going to do that a couple times. Is there anything that you are maybe not haven't talked to the guys yet about, but maybe you're thinking of in advance for that move?
Not a whole lot. The only thing I would say that I've thought of is looking at the field. It looks a bit short. I know dimension-wise, I'm aware of that, and we've talked through all that with Pete before we even began construction. But I know it's fine lengthwise, but it just looks that way. So I'm wondering if that might lend itself to a certain way of playing. I know some teams have maybe shorter or more narrow fields, which we've actually even had that in our game field. It's not as big as some fields. Our current game field, soon to be former. But yeah, a little bit of that has made me wonder. Okay, maybe we could use that if that is the case, that it's a little bit smaller to our advantage. But I'm just excited for that field to help us with our speed of play. The ball moves just so quickly on turf, and we do get surprised by that a few times a year, not being ready for it at most away games that we play. Most teams have turf now, so we are pumped for that.
Advanced to the NEAC semifinals last year, lost on a really great call. Oh, nothing? No? Just smirk? Okay, fine. No, I'm just kidding. It's fine. It was the right. Oh, good. Oh, that's good, Tom. You've come around. Haven't seen the light, have you? So, regardless, advanced to the NEAC semifinals last year after we had gone 3 straight years of final, semifinals, quarterfinals, back to the semifinals. I asked some of the other coaches, you don't need to give me a prediction on your record or things like that, but what does a successful 2018 season look like? Is it a goal like that? Hey, we're getting back and we're fixing that, or is it, hey, I want to see some things out of the newcomers. I want to see good senior leadership, things like. What are you thinking expectation-wise for this year's team?
That's a great question, because I'll be honest. Last year, walking off the field, it was a tough pill to swallow, losing in that way that we did, and in overtime and all that. But even walking off, literally watching the players walk off, the 4-year guys, the seniors, so we had 4 4-year seniors and then 3 3-year seniors who just came in their sophomore year and started playing. So that group of 7 was like, oh man, how are we going to replace them? So that was definitely a question all off season. But then as the summer rolled around, we saw the guys we got, and a couple late guys too, which are going to help. I think we started thinking, okay, expectations now, we got to get back there. We have the team to get back there. The conference last year was wide open. Not everyone, but several teams seemed to lose good core groups like we did. So I don't think we're any worse off than anyone else. I think it's a wide open conference again this year, just like last year. And so the expectations are let's get back to the semifinals and win that game this time and get to the final. And so I think it's there for us and for a lot of teams. I mean, we know it's going to be a dogfight every game. I think some of the teams that haven't done as well have improved, so I'm excited to see that, and getting pushed every game will be good.
Well, thank you, Tommy. The Chargers open their season tomorrow here at on campus, Charger Field. Last home opener on Charger Field. Farmingdale State 4:00, and then Bernathen on Saturday at 3:15. So, looking for a good early start again. And thanks, Tommy, for coming on.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thanks, Ed.
Great. So we are through the coaches, 5 coaches there in, I don't know, a little under an hour. Not too bad, JJ. Again, our social media pages, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, just searching at LBC Athletics. For all of our home games, you can find us right here on our YouTube page. We'll have video of those, and you won't have to just listen to my voice. I wouldn't do that to you. You can find it here on the Chargers Sports Network. There will be some days now as we get lights here on the Donald H. Funk Field where there will be 2 events going on. So we'll pick one and cover that. We'll obviously still have updates and that nature of the other one, and we'll try to base that on where we are in the schedule, if it's a conference game, things like that. So don't feel like we're picking on anyone when we make that decision. Obviously, the homepage, lvcchargers.com, all the roster bios are up and updated for the 2018 season for all of our fall teams. The schedule updates can be found there, if times change or inclement weather, things like that. And lots of other info, whether it be the ticket policy for games or we've had lots of turnover in the staff, new coaches, new faces in some different positions. You can check out the staff directory there, and anything involving Lancaster Bible College athletics you can find there on lbcchargers.com. I did want to bring one thing up. There's going to be an alumni soccer game prior to homecoming on Saturday, September 29th. That sign-up link can be found on our Facebook and Twitter pages. If you scroll down just a little bit, we released that information late last week. You can probably find it on lbc.edu as well if you search homecoming, or just send an email to myself or Bob McMichael here at Lancaster Bible. So it'll be for alumni. It'll be at the morning of homecoming. You get to play on the new Donald H. Funk Field here on campus. It'll be a good time just to run around a bit. Nothing too competitive, just prior to the women's soccer game, which takes place at 11:30. I believe the game is in the morning. I don't want to give a time because I don't want to give the wrong time, but it's definitely in the morning prior to when we dedicate the field, and then the women's game and men's game. So homecoming will be the weekend of the 28th, 29th. Friday afternoon, we'll be hosting women's volleyball at 4 o'clock. And the Worship and Performing Arts will put on Titanic that night at the Good Shepherd Chapel. I won't spoil the ending for you of that play. And then the next day is homecoming here at LVC, and there'll be lots of events going on for all alumni, tons of stuff for kids and students, and obviously soccer games highlighting that day as we take on CUCA at 11:30 a.m. for the women, and then 2 o'clock for the men's game. Like we mentioned when we talked about with each of the coaches, the season does kick off this weekend. The home events here include men's soccer tomorrow afternoon, Friday at 4 o'clock, Farmingdale State. And then on Saturday, soccer doubleheader at 1 o'clock, Bryn Athen. Both games are Bryn Athen. 1 o'clock is the women's game, and 3:15 for the men's game. All of the teams are in play this weekend, so you can find all the action and the recap and the stats at lbcchargers.com. And boy, away we go with the 2018-19 season. So we're looking forward to it here. I think we have a pretty good idea of what we want to do in terms of these podcasts, keeping them on a weekly or maybe even doing 2 a week. If JJ wants to, duck out of class a little early, we can do a couple a week. No, don't do that, JJ. So anyway, thanks for listening. You can keep checking on the social media pages and the website today for some more preseason information as we preview the 2018 fall season. And this was a lot of fun. JJ, thumbs up on how that went. Okay, thank you. Appreciated that. And thank you again for listening. This has been the Horse with No Name podcast, and Zach Freeman, and go Chargers, go.